and Ridley. So if you take away Julio and you take away Ridley, who's left to catch passes?
Russell Gage, Justin Hardy, and Olamide Zaccheaus.
Yes. So again, if you take away Julio and you take away Ridley, who's left to catch passes?
Austin Hooper. Still not helping?
The next game is
well, before the only other player that I've heard rumor on perhaps leaving Atlanta would be Vic Beasley, who was a former number one draft choice of the Falcons. My guess is they're not going to get a number one in return for him, though.
No, they won't.
Yeah. So good luck, Atlanta. The next game is one I'm sure you're ready to talk about. The Philadelphia Eagles are at the Buffalo Bills. Eagles 3-4. Bills are 5-1. The Eagles have fallen to 15th in the power rankings. The Bills,
that's too high.
The Bills fell to 12th. They are favored by only 1.5 points here on the road. This is another game that I see that's going to be just about defense and not offense. Bills are just better, and they're better than 12 in the power rankings, I think. Bills allow a mere 15.2 points per game. Eagles allow 26.6 points a game. How's that secondary doing?
What secondary?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, so basically you mean Malcolm Jenkins and those dudes.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's still the same thing. Malcolm Jenkins and those dudes.
Okay. No one's getting coming off the injury report. Nobody's walking through that door for you, huh?
Nah, Maddox is still out, and no word on Darby. Jalen Mills showed up last week in Dallas, which was amazing that he even, one, played, and two, actually did something competent like catch an interception and challenge Amari Cooper, because we lost last week, not from Dallas torching us in the air, but because they gashed us on the ground. So now there's issues in the front seven. But, hey, we just fired a linebacker 2 weeks ago. So,
Buffalo Rob writes in, Bills host the Eagles in what I expect to be a close game. I'm not fooled by the Dallas game last week. Eagles are a tough out. Local Philly media calling Alshon Jeffrey the quote-unquote anonymous leak, which should make for an interesting dynamic. Eagles defensive backs are trash, but some guys are coming back. How does Josh Allen perform against this defense? Just want to remind you about how he has played recently. Josh Allen's stats his last 7 games against teams that aren't the Patriots: record 7-0, a 63.4% completion percentage, 268 yards per game, passing and rushing, 17 total touchdowns, 11 passing, 6 rushing, 5 interceptions, 5 comeback wins in the fourth quarter. I expect it to be close. Bills pull out a victory 20-17. I actually don't expect it to be that close. 1.5, I think, is too low. You're not giving the Bills enough credit. I will take the Bills in an easy game. Sorry, James.
Apologize for what? I mean, again, you mentioned the secondary. These corners look like they're running away from the wide receivers, like they have the measles and the chicken pox at the same time. They're afraid to challenge opposing wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. They don't want to be within 5 yards of them when they catch the ball. And when they are there, they're hesitant to make the tackle, like they're allowing them to make a move first to juke them and run for another 10 yards. So if the corners don't show up and do anything, then we will get blasted by a Buffalo Bills squad with a very pedestrian offense, is probably the nicest thing I can say. Yes, the Bills have a very good defense, very solid across the board, athletes all over the place in that defense. Their offense is not much to write home about, and I know Rob wants to tout his young quarterback and everything, but let's be real. This offense is not scaring anybody.
It's not a scary offense, but I wouldn't discount the Bills offense at this particular point in time. I mean, 361 yards per game. They're only scoring 20.2 points per game. Frank Gore is averaging 4.5 yards per carry.
Frank Gore. I thought they had Jim Brown at running back.
Listen, hey, old man Frank is getting the job done. He's also, by the way, the only running back that's done or had any sort of success against the Patriots D so far. Just saying. don't discount the Bills' offense. But what do we got on the injury report?
For Philadelphia, I already mentioned Maddox. Ridgeway is also out, nursing an ankle. Sproles with a quadricep and Deshaun Jackson with an abdomen are both questionable. Let me spare everyone right now. Neither of them will play. Tim Jernigan, Jason Peters, Nigel Bradham, and Fletcher Cox all show up on the injury report as questionable as well. I expect at least two of them to suit up, namely Cox and Jernigan. On the Buffalo Bills side, receiver Duke Williams, linebacker Matt Milano, linebacker Corey Thompson, cornerback Kevin Johnson, and safety Kurt Coleman. Oh, gosh, there's a bum name from the past. All listed as questionable on the injury report. I'm sorry, Kurt Coleman is trash. Not even sure why he's still in the league.
All right. Next game is the Los Angeles Chargers. Speaking of trash, at 2-5.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears are 3-3. My boyfriends, what in the world's going on with them? Bears fall to 18th in the power rankings. The Chargers somehow remain steady at 20. Bears are favored. Bears are favored by 4 in this particular game. I think I've stumbled on a theme for this week, and it's all about defense. Chargers putting up good yards, 367.7 per game, but they just don't score, only 20 points per game. They are -4 in takeaway giveaways. The Bears are +4. Trubisky has to play better, but I'm going to assume he will after a week off. Or wait, no, they didn't have a week off. Anyway, he's at home. I'm going to go with the Bears at home.
Yeah, I want to go with the Bears because I refuse to pick the Chargers because of how inept they've looked this year. For so much talent, this team looks like it's completely incompetent on both sides of the ball as far as moving it and stopping it when they need to do it most. The offense, to say it's sputtered out of the gates, is abysmal. What are they averaging per game, Pod, by the way, the Chargers?
Chargers, what, on offense?
On offense, yeah.
Yeah, I just gave that to you. 367 yards per game, but only 20 points per game.
Yeah, that's not typical of the Chargers offense. In the past, they're normally up around 24, 25 points a game. 20 is not getting it done, obviously, because they only have 2 wins on the season. As far as Trubisky goes, I know he's not listed on the injury report, but there's still something going on with that shoulder. He's not 100%. He's probably not even close to 80% because watching that game last week against the Saints, he couldn't hit the broadside of the barn if his life depended on it. He was errant on a lot of passes and not really willing to throw the ball downfield when he had opportunities to give his receivers a shot. So hopefully they get things fixed because a lot of 3-and-outs is not going to bode well for them this week.
You know, and I obviously give numbers that I want to give because it's, you know, my prerogative. But for being an offensive genius, the Chicago Bears are only averaging 263 yards per game and 18.7 points per game. That's not getting the job done.
No, it also doesn't help when you only run the ball 7 times to 45 pass plays.
Maybe Jordan was a little bit better of a running back than they thought.
Well, they've got a young rookie in Montgomery to run the ball in tandem with Tariq Cohen, but they're not using either of them. And when Cohen's on the field, everyone knows that it's either going to be a gadget play or pass to Cohen. And when he's not on the field, more times than not, it's a direct run or some form of play action. So it's very telling with this offense based on who's lined up beside Trubisky and shotgun.
What do we got on the injury report?
For the Bears, the only name that's officially showing up is Sherrick McManus, cornerback, who is questionable for this week. He's in concussion protocol. For the LA Chargers, we've got Melvin Ingram, Justin Jones, Brandon Mebane, Justin Jackson, Michael Bagley, and Nasir Adderley, all listed as questionable with various injuries. Russell Okung is going to be out this week due to, wait for it, Jay, illness.
Oh, the silent killer. Why is the silent killer raising its head so early in the season? It's only October 23rd. As of
there are lots of people walking around my office right now, sniffling and sneezing, and I'm like, stay away. I have homecoming this week.
Well, you know, load up on that vitamin C. That's all I can say. You might hear sniffling in the background. My dad's got the same thing. He decided to bring the silent killer into my house.
Play through illness, Jay. Play through illness.
Right. Let's take a trip across the pond, shall we? I will never do that again. The Cincinnati Bengals are 0-7. The Los Angeles Rams struggling at 4-3. The Rams are 13th in the power rankings. The Bengals 31st. Rams are favored by 13 in this game. It is the first of two games at Wembley Stadium. Rams should handle the totally defeated Bengals, who did receive a last place vote in the power rankings this week. I mean, the Miami Dolphins are no longer unanimous, James.
Yeah. Who made that brash decision?
I'm not sure if it's Nick being funny or it could perhaps be the intern. It is someone who is listed themselves as KC Achilles knee.
Oh, wow. Okay, sure.
Yeah. I don't know who that could possibly be. Like I said, I'm assuming it's Nick, but not 100% sure.
Could be.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I've got nothing on this game.
Well, I'm going to give you something that's interesting, or at least that I found interesting in this one. Rams are flying to London on Thursday after they just played in Atlanta this past Sunday. So they went to Atlanta, they flew back to LA, and now they're going to fly to England on Thursday. That's a lot of airline miles.
Wait, do we know that they actually went back to LA? Because typically teams out west, when they're going to London, they have the East Coast game the week before, and they typically leave that East Coast city and go to London without going back home.
I don't know if they went back home, but I do know they are not flying to London until Thursday. So I assume, based on the article I read, that they did in fact fly back home. I saw that Sean McDermott wants to try and keep the week as normal as possible, except he's installing the game plan before they leave on Thursday.
How is that normal to go back to LA to go to London? Because you still have to stop in the East Coast city before flying over to London. There are no direct flights from LA to London that I know of unless they have a charter.
Yeah, I doubt it as well. So my guess is this was a huge mistake by the Rams. And not for nothing, Andy Dalton completed 20 of 27 passes for 233 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 pick in his last meeting against the Rams, which was in 2015, but it was a 31-7 victory. I'm going to take the Rams, but I am not giving 13 points. By the way, I'm also locking in the Rams, despite not giving 13 points.
Yeah, definitely not giving the points. I'm locking the Rams as well. And I'm pretty sure the last time Dalton played the Rams, some guy named Jalen something wasn't playing.
I mean, listen, Jalen Ramsey made his impact felt on the very first pass, but he's only one dude. The Rams have got some issues they got to solve.
They do. One of them being Clay Matthews. He will not play in this game. He's out.
I wonder if he's flying to London.
Don't know. That doesn't say anything here at this point. But another linebacker, Bruce Hager, is also on the injury report, along with backup running back Malcolm Brown. For the Bengals, Carl Lawson, Dre Kirkpatrick, Carlos Dunlap, and guard John Miller all show up as questionable. A.J. Green is listed as doubtful. I still don't expect him to play just yet. Cornerback William Jackson III is listed as out, though.
I saw a report A.J. Green was not going to play for the Bengals until after the trade deadline, which is very odd. I don't understand the power play there on A.J. Green's part. Like, don't you want to go play for a better team? Why do you want to stick around in Cincinnati? Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me.
You know, considering Mohamed Sanu was traded Monday from Atlanta to your New England Patriots, I wonder if they try to make a play for A.J. Green first.
Well, A.J. Green was linked to the Patriots since the preseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots finally gave up on the pursuit of A.J. Green and went with Mohamed Sanu. We can talk about that when we get to the Patriots if we really want to. I'm just going to reiterate, I did not like the trade.